And today on the show, we welcome the boy who has survived it all. We let author Cormac McCarthy get into his post-apocalyptic experiences in the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, The Road. How you doing today, Nicholas?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm just glad I survived the apocalypse.
Yes. So, we actually have some questions for you today, and we've actually gotten questions from people all over. So let's just get started. Okay, now the first question for you, John, is what was one thing you wish you could have changed in the world?
Well, one thing I wish I would want to change that the people before me, they destroyed the world, and I wish that didn't happen. Because then maybe I wouldn't have had to go through those hard experiences.
Okay. That one was actually nice. That was a nice answer, Sam. So this next question is a toughie.
All right, let's hear it.
Do you think, personally, that the last paragraph has any relevance to you? Because I know there's been a bunch of discussion on it, and we all just are dying to hear your opinion.
Well, the last paragraph, it's a very interesting paragraph now. No, I think it kind of serves as a warning. It kind of says that man is destroying the world, and it serves as a warning to the people to watch how they change the world and how much they destroy nature.
That was nice. That was very good. And I actually do agree with you, and I think that that was awesome. So we want to hear more, Sean. Just keep talking.
All right, well, I think the trout in the last paragraph represent the simplistic beauty of the world. And it shows that the trout, which was a species before man, and when man represent the simplistic beauty of the world. Now, the trout came before man, and I think that when it says in the last paragraph about the patterns on the backs of the trouts, it's showing like the maps of the world, and that before man, everything was good, and then man comes and kind of destroys the world in a sense.
Yeah, a really nice theme that I have here on my paper is that people sometimes destroy all that is good and beautiful and can end up destroying themselves in the process. And that, like, a bunch of people have presented this theme to me and they wanted me to bring it up, and they actually want to know how you, Rob, feel about that theme.
Well, since you're asking, that's actually one of the best themes I've heard for this book so far. There's this one part in the book, let me find it, and it has a quote that says, "He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world, the cold, relentless circling of the interstate earth." And I think that this quote shows that he finally saw what happened to the earth and how chewed up and destroyed it got.
Yes, actually, that is one of my favorite passages. And another one is actually, can I borrow this book?
Yes, you may.
I do believe it is on page 20. One moment. Here it is. And it says, "The grainy air, the taste of it never left your mouth." And I think that just shows how disgusting and polluted the world got and how filthy the air was. Did you feel like it was like that when you were growing up?
I did feel like it was very filthy, and it wasn't a good time to be alive, honestly. When I was a boy, I wish I could have seen what the world was like before me and how nice it was. I also made a connection on the last page where it says, let me find it, where it says, "On their backs were vermiculate patterns that were maps of the world and its becoming." And I think that this quote shows, like, before man, yeah, I actually made the connection that on the last page where it says their backs were vermiculate patterns that were maps of the world and its becoming. I think that the author was trying to say that the creatures before man had an idea of how Earth would live, but once the people came into the world, we wrecked the plan and we essentially destroyed everything.
Wow, Smith, I actually think your intelligence is wearing off on me because I actually have something to add on to my own question. I think that the last sentence in this book, The Road, actually shows that all the pre-man species felt like the ruining of the earth was coming, and when it said they were humming with mystery, I think they were kind of wondering how the world would come to end because of the people coming in and completely destroying the plans.
I like that. not too shabby.
Thanks, Drew. Now, on to the next question. Did you honestly see this reoccurring theme throughout the apocalypse that you grew up in, or do you think you were too young to realize kind of what was all going on?
I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I always felt like I was more wise and I understood more than most for my age. And the stories my father told me, they were very intelligent, and I think they made me a lot smarter and aware of what was happening to me. And he grew up in a more grand and glorious time than me. I just wish I could have been there to see it.
Well, as I look into the audience, it seems that you've gotten a few people actually emotional with your wise words.
I'm sorry.
We only have a couple more questions left, Tom. So, one of them is, do you ever wish you were born in the state of age where the apocalypse is just a memory in time? Like, do you ever wish you could change when you were born?
Yes, I do, but I also feel like I learned a lot about myself because of what I went through, and I truly wouldn't want to change how I grew up. It has made me such a stronger person, and my father, may he rest in peace, was a wonderful man, and he taught me everything about myself.
Okay, now, this next question, people have been begging me to ask you. I've gotten it from everywhere. So Noah, here it goes. Do you keep in touch with that second family that came up to you in the ending of the book? Did that even ever happen? Did you guys get along?
Well, actually, the mother and I were the closest, because I think we were the closest because since I grew up without a mother, when I finally got essentially a mother, we were just so inseparable, and we really had a special bond.
She just sounds lovely.
She was. And to answer the other question, yes, I do keep in touch with them very well, actually. In fact, they're right here in the audience.
Let's give a round of applause for her second mother and father, everyone. Anyways, back to business. Was there anything else you wanted to talk to us about, Sam? Anything you wanted to add on?
Well, I think I'd just like to put an exaggeration on how important it is for us to look after the world. I mean, you obviously have read about from Cormac McCarthy's wonderful novel, The Road. You've read about how terrible it is what happened to my world, and I'd like you guys to look more into nature and look after it. And hopefully this is a warning to everyone in the audience about what can happen when we don't treat our world properly.
Okay, now I know you guys hate to hear this, but that does have to be the end of our interview, so everyone, let's give a warm final applause for the one, the only, the Greg.
Thank you all. Good night, Canfield.
And that's a wrap on the next hour's Big Bang Theory's new episode on at 9.